Okay, so we're gonna start with our rehab series. So we're gonna go over the first exercises to rehab your low back. These are sort of the introductory exercises. This is where everyone should be able to start, and we'll have some modifications if you can't do certain ones. And then there's gonna be a level 2, and this is more for advanced athletes. This is for people that work in manual labor or people that are already regular gym goers, because we have to tailor your rehab to the needs of your spine. So if you sit in an office, then we don't have to go as extreme with the rehab as someone who swings a sledgehammer at work. So this is the foundation, and we're gonna start here and then build on that. So the first exercise is a resisted movement exercise. Many of you probably know, and most of you probably don't like. So we're gonna start with a regular front plank. So what we're trying to do is avoid excess flexion and extension of the spine. So I'm gonna demonstrate, give you a few cues, and then I'll show you again after that. So first, we're gonna start, if you have the stability, we wanna go ahead and start on our elbows, but if we don't, we can start on our knees and our elbows. So first off, just a regular plank. So hands on the ground, palms facing down, elbows directly underneath your shoulders, and then we're just gonna hold a plank. The most important thing is that you're not sagging down, you're not bending your back up like this. If you can't hold a standard plank, squeezing your glutes, pushing your hands into the ground, then we need to go down to our knees, just like this. Come back up, hold. For the sets and reps of this is an endurance exercise. So we're trying to build up endurance of the spine. So at first you may only be able to hold it for 10 seconds before your core starts to fatigue. But we wanna go 3 sets until a fatigue level of about a 6 or a 7. So I want you to be pretty tired, but you should feel like you could have done a little more than you already did. And then you're just gonna build up from that. And that's gonna be a common theme for most of these exercises. Since this is kind of personal, it's hard for me to give a recommendation. You should do 3 sets of 10 reps. This is all different. You maybe only do 5 seconds 3 times. You may be able to do 30 seconds. So you just wanna start and make sure you're building up each week as you're doing these exercises. Generally speaking, around 3 times a week will be good for most people. So the next exercise, a little more difficult, it works more on lateral stability, is gonna be a side plank. There's 2 different ways to do this, one on your knees and one on your elbow. And I'm gonna show both of those. So we'll start with the easier variation and move on to the more difficult one. So to do a side plank, and you always wanna do this on both sides, even if you have an issue on one, you're gonna go on your side, elbow underneath, feet on the ground, knees together, and you're gonna lift up, squeeze your hips forward, and contract your glutes. Now, shoulder over the elbow, hips in line with the shoulders, in line with the knees, and then go back down. So that's kind of the introductory way to do it. And then as you get stronger, we can start to progress and do it on our feet. So here, up to the side, hold, and then back down. If you have any issues with your shoulder, it might be difficult to go up on your arm like that. You may have to continue to do it on your side, but you can move to your feet and then go back down. So we're gonna kind of do the same thing for that one. We're gonna do, probably for most people around 10 to 20 seconds, and then just keep building from there. RPE of 7, which just means rate of perceived exhaustion. Don't go till you can't do any more, but it should be difficult. And then the last exercise, this one is more of a cross-body coordination exercise with a little bit of extension. So it is a little easier to give some parameters for this exercise because most people are not gonna get too fatigued. So we're gonna start with bird dogs. So we're gonna say 3 sets of 10 for most people is a good place to start. And this is gonna be on your hands and knees. I'll show it from the front, and then I'll show it from the side. So what you're gonna do, knees directly underneath your hips, hands directly underneath your elbows, down on all 4s. You're gonna take your opposite arm and your opposite leg and extend them straight out, and then come back down. Left arm, right leg, come back down. If you feel like you're not very stable doing that, or you're tilting your pelvis, one easy trick to essentially force yourself to do it right is to put a lacrosse ball on your low back, because if you tilt your pelvis one way or the other, the ball will fall off and you know you're rotating at the pelvis too much. So now I'm gonna show you from the side, and then we'll move on to the next exercise. Right arm, left leg, left arm, right leg. Back down. All right, so there's the foundational exercises. There's one more I want to add in here that you wouldn't really say is a core specific exercise, but it does target the hips, which are directly connected to stabilizing the core. So you can use a long band like this, or they make the smaller ones that are about this long. You're gonna put this around the balls of your feet, not your ankles. And then you're gonna hold pressure on the band. Some people like to cross it, some people like to grab it overhand. Doesn't really matter, just pressure on the band. I like to do it together in the middle. You're gonna get in a squat position, like a 1/3 squat. Just push your hips back and then step side to side. Never letting tension off the band. Then go back the other way. Make sure you're picking your feet all the way up. And after just a few of those, you should start to notice a burn right across the top of your glute. That lets you know you're doing it right. Same kind of deal. You may only be able to do 5 each direction, and then we'll slowly build up from there.